Hello, everyone. TGIF, happy Friday. Hi. Please say hi as you come in. And today, guys, can you see? Look at my cool lights. I tried to make a really cool Friday vibe, but now it's not working. Anyways, I have lights, but it's not working very well. Can you see? Say hi as you come in. I'm going to run this a little bit like how I run my mastermind. So what I want everyone to do, and I'm going to type it in the chat here, is as you come in, happy Friday, let me know what you're celebrating. One thing from this week, what are you celebrating this week? I'm going to write it in the chat. Okay. Hope that you can all see that. I know that there's a delay, so I can't always see your comments right away. And I can't really see when you're coming in. So say hi. Welcome everyone to Friday Night Live with me, Chrystelle Robinson-Tiedemann. This is our opportunity to talk all things love and meaning, the podcast, and get to know each other, celebrate as we go into the weekend, share, and have a little chat, have a little deep dive into the Love and Meaning podcast. If anyone checked out this week's episode, let me know what you think. Any thoughts, write your comments, your questions into the chat, and we'll get started soon. Hello. So I have these really cool lights going today. I'm gonna turn the lights back on higher as people come in. But I thought we'd have a Friday vibe. What I actually wanted to do was I wanted to play some music and like dance a little bit. And then I found out that you just can't randomly play music on YouTube or anything really because of copyright. So Chrystelle is learning. So we'll find our way around that because I really feel like some good jams would be helpful in here to set the mood. But welcome everyone. This is our second edition of Love and Meaning's Friday Night Live Dive. So Love and Meaning is my podcast, and I'm happy to say that we are running 2 months now. It's been 2 months since the official launch of Love and Meaning, and that means so much to me. 2 months now, so there's 8 episodes. The podcast drops every Monday at 8 a.m. EST on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and here on YouTube. So you can catch the new episode every Monday at 8 a.m. And then every Friday at 6 p.m. EST here on my YouTube channel, Goddess of Practicality, we go live and we talk about it. We have a live dive and we talk about it and just have a conversation about all things spirituality, personal growth, human design, ADHD, whatever comes up, any of the topics that have been covered in Love and Meaning, and anything else that comes to mind that's interesting to you. So I do see 2 people. Hi guys, but I can't see any of your comments. I do know that last week I learned that for some reason, if you're on a browser, it's you can't comment, or for some reason I haven't figured out what that is because I do know that other people have done that. But if you go onto the mobile app on your phone or on your iPad, on your tablet, apparently you can participate in the chat, but it's not working in the browser. So just say hi as you come in. And for this week, I would love to start with, what are you celebrating? What are you celebrating this week? So I will start. What I am celebrating this week is, there's so many things to celebrate, but I'm celebrating giving myself rest. So this week I felt, for an unknown reason, very tired. And I thought maybe it would be like a 1-day thing. And then the next day I was still tired and I was still tired and I was still tired. So I had to do a lot of surrender this week and just lean into the fact that I was tired. And this is kind of, I'm a projector in human design, and this is very much how our energy flow works. We don't have consistent energy. So I do go through these periods where I do feel more tired. My body really calls for rest. And I used to fight it a lot. I used to feel like there was something wrong with me, and kind of push through, which would only make me more tired. And so it's been a process, and I'm getting better. I'm getting better. My husband can attest to this. I am getting better at leaning into it. I do kind of become a pooty baby and like get a little bit whiny about it in the beginning, but I'm learning to lean into it more, because what I find that happens in that rest period. So this is really helpful for any projectors out there. In that rest period, I tend to have like some sort of lesson. Something is in that rest period for me to learn. There's always something in there for me to learn. And so I find that if I just lean into it, allow it, not only does my body get what it needs, but the inspiration will come, and then I'll be sent it to like my next inspiration phase. And that's kind of like how it goes. So it really takes a lot of surrender. Surrender has been a big theme for me. So I am celebrating surrendering into rest. Okay, and I'll add an extra celebration. An extra celebration is appreciation for my partner, because when I do say things like that, when I say like I'm tired, I need rest, he is the first person to encourage me and remind me that I need to lean into it and not to judge myself or think that anything is wrong. So that is my celebration. So as you come in, let me know what you're celebrating. All right, we're going to turn the lights back up. We are going to turn the lights back up and get into the official Friday Night Live dive. All right. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Love and Meaning. So the Love and Meaning was inspired by the past decade that I have been doing inner work and personal development and personal growth. It is an attest to like my love affair with personal growth and personal development over the past 10 years. I found myself in this place where I was really unhappy, despite being the go-to person for my friends to come to for advice. I found myself really unhappy, though I was quite helpful. But I still felt like a lot of dissatisfaction inside of myself. So I found myself like struggling in romantic relationships. I had a lot of resentment. I just had a lot of anger and sadness. And so I kind of found myself really looking for love and for a sense of purpose. And then I started doing personal development and inner work, and I discovered that the love really was inside of me. I discovered that this was about loving myself. And I discovered that I didn't actually love myself that much when I thought that I did. And I at least surely wasn't thinking like a person who loves themselves. And I started to work on that, and then also discovered that there were many places where I could be more loving to others. So being helpful and being loving are not the same thing. And you can be both. And so I found myself on this journey discovering love for myself in a completely different way, which translated into love of others. And it translated into me creating the meaning in my life. And therefore, the podcast is called Love and Meaning, because it was what I was seeking and it was what I found within myself. So in the podcast, there are a number of themes, lots of different themes. It is an opportunity for me to talk about all of the things that have been instrumental in my growth, in finding happiness, in finding emotional stability, maturity, growth, all of resilience, becoming courageous, and diving into creativity. All of these things that happened on that journey will be featured in the podcast. And so some of the themes that we've covered so far are, I do also talk about human design. I'm a human design reader, and you can follow me on Goddess of Practicality Instagram, and for really fun and easy access human design information. So I'm a human design reader and life coach. And so human design is a big topic also on the podcast. And we talk about emotional maturity. I talk about implanting. Where do we put meaning in our life? Where have we placed meaning in our life, and having choice about where we place meaning? I talk about high vibe and kind of spiritual bypassing, and this idea of needing to be high vibe all the time, and how that's a myth, and it's not necessarily about being high vibe. Positivity is not about acting a certain way, but truly accepting all the parts of us that are human. I talk about self-acceptance and moving away from perfectionism and moving into a focus on real humanity, like all the emotional, all the full range of emotions that humans have. We talk about how to sit with your emotions, right? Like learning to sit with your emotions is all part of all part of learning to become a fully functional, resilient human being, is learning to accept everything that is part of being a human, which is having all of your emotions. So these are the various topics that we cover on the podcast. And this live dive every Friday is an opportunity for us to dive deeper into those topics. So if you have questions, type them into the chat. Also, while you're listening during the week, you can type your questions right into the underneath on the wherever you're listening on the platform you're listening on. Underneath the episode is a place where there's like a Q&A section, and you can write your questions in or your comments, and you can even voice note your comments in, so that you can, like, I can hear your voice. You can talk to me directly. So you're welcome to leave your questions there, and then I'll cover them on the live dive, or you can just come live and put your questions in. I am not seeing any questions yet, so I just want to make sure that it's not like a YouTube issue, because I see you guys there. So let me see if I can jump in myself and be a participant myself. Oh, sorry about that. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing your questions. I do know that happens sometimes. Oh, wow, I am. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I can't see them. Huh. Interesting. I can't see them, but I'm so glad that I am seeing it now. Hi, Sim. Hi from Paris. Okay, guys, Sim is saying hello from Paris. This is very exciting. I'm just going to have to keep my phone here then and look at the chat from my phone. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what that is. I'm still learning. Be patient with me. I will look at my phone to follow the chat because that's very annoying. But for some reason, can you guys see what I wrote in the chat? Can somebody let me know that you saw what I wrote in the chat at the top? And yes, Cynthia is turning 40. So my amazing friend Cynthia, her birthday is coming up, the big 40, and we are going to celebrate in style here, starting in the Bahamas and then here. Okay, we're actually going to the Bahamas for our best friend's wedding, but that doesn't stop us from also celebrating the heck out of your freaking birthday. So, And then she's going to come home with me to New York and we're going to continue the party in style. I am so excited. Wow. So no, you can't see it. Okay. So I have to figure out what the heck is going on with my chat, and I will not do that now. So at the top of the chat, what I had written was, as you come in, say hi, of course. Hi. Hi, Kathy. Oh, I'm so excited to hear. Hi, Kath. Write in what you are celebrating this week. What are you guys celebrating this week? Cynthia said she's celebrating turning 40 next week. That's, hello, huge. So, Kath, what are you celebrating? And as everyone comes in, write what you're celebrating. I wish that I knew how this chat was working. Anyway, so topics for this week. Any questions came up or any themes that you guys want to dive into, focus on as you're walking into your 40th year? What's coming up? Like, what do you think? What are the things that are coming up for you? What are you resonating with right now? Because that's a big milestone. That's a big milestone, right? So what are the things that are on your heart? I would love to talk about that. We can dedicate this as a happy birthday. A happy birthday episode. One of my, in the meantime, while you bring up your chat, I will, stepping into my soft era. I love that. Stepping into my soft era. Can you expand a little bit more? So many things are coming up for me when I hear that. I'm thinking feminine energy. That's another thing. So in this past decade, diving into personal development, inner work, my own growth, a huge aspect for me was leaning into learning and understanding feminine and masculine energy. And this is energies, okay? So this is not genders. This is like at understanding how as people, we have both. And when we lean to any one side too much, it leads to imbalance. And so what I discovered was that I was very imbalanced. I was very heavily leaning on my masculine energy and not really incorporating my feminine energy. And I consider myself a feminine energy being. So I consider myself like primarily feminine energy. And in using mostly my masculine energy, it was really getting in the way big time in relationships, but also burning me out. Really blocking me from enjoying and being in my life. The feminine is the being and the masculine is the doing. And our society is a very doing society. So we tend to find ourselves so much leaning in the doing that we don't even know how to actually enjoy it. Like fruits of your labor, and then you just have more fruits of your labor and more fruits of your labor. Like the whole point is to actually enjoy your life. So without leaning into our feminine, we don't actually have that part. So that was huge for me. Kathy says, wishing I had done the work I've done sooner, but got glad to have started in the last few years. Yeah, girl, I am right there with you. Do you know, this makes me think of this week's episode. So the past episode that I launched was all about what it felt like when I launched my podcast. And I really had a visceral awareness of what you're saying, Kath. Like in that moment, as soon as I published the episode, like it was out, it's like I'm officially a podcaster. And I just realized that I'm the same person. So it just became so abundantly clear that I could have done this. I was fully capable of doing this at any time. The difference was I did not give myself permission to. I didn't recognize what I was capable of doing. And I have a feeling that's similar to what you're saying. Tell me more about what you're feeling, but it's kind of like as soon as I started doing it, and this is not a shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I said that in there as well. This is not all about beating ourselves up, and I know that that's not what you mean either. It's more like, wow, like it's just so wild the stories that we tell ourselves. Like I just was so sure of the things that I could not do, and none of it was true. It's just not based on reality. It was just based off of limiting beliefs. And as soon as I started to just do a little bit, that got me closer, that got me closer, that got me closer. I all of a sudden became a person who said yes to doing things that they were afraid to do before, and then realized, like, huh, it's not that big a deal. Not that it's necessarily easy, but it's not a magical process. It's just simply you do a little bit and you learn, you do a little bit and you learn, and you do a little bit and you learn, you know? You don't need to be a spectacular person. I think I thought I needed to be some sort of spectacular being that does all of these things. And it's so there's that disconnect between the people that we admire doing like amazing things that you love, whether it's an actor, a singer, a writer, a podcaster, an influencer. It's so easy to other them thinking that that takes a special type of humaning that I don't have. No, it doesn't. It's just a choice. And then you just do it, little by little, and then you learn and you make mistakes and it's okay. And then you get up and you learn from your mistakes and you do more. It's just this amazing process. So I totally understand. I totally understand how you feel. And it's actually such a beautiful lesson to get to the place where you realize that it doesn't take being spectacular. Like being superhuman is actually a very human thing to do. It's not extra. It's just us actually fully stepping into what we're capable of. Um, where was I? Wish I had done this. Okay, Kathy, celebrating being the bravest I've ever been. Woo! I wish I had like a little, those like birthday things that I could blow. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's so on theme. Are you doing this on purpose? This is so on theme for this week's episode. I my major celebration, in addition to having that conversation with myself, and I had a conversation with my inner child that was all about recognizing her full potential was there all along, and all the no's that I gave myself that could have been yeses, and now kind of promising to make them yeses and to be okay with falling down and getting back up. In addition to celebrating that, I celebrated being the bravest that I've ever felt. So congratulations from my heart to yours. Like, it's such a good feeling, right? It's such an amazing feeling. And it's so amazing that I know you and I already think you're brave. And I know so many people that already thought that I was brave, but we didn't think that of ourselves, the things that nobody really knows, the thing that you're the most afraid of. Nobody really knows. And it's just very interesting how we can all see ourselves in these very skewed ways, and other people don't see us that way. And then we look at other people and they're experiencing the exact same thing as us and thinking they're not brave. When you're like, wow, I wish I could be as brave as you. I'm realizing I don't have to hustle all the time. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying at the masculine. Yes, yes. You don't have to. And isn't the most amazing part of that? I don't have to hustle all the time. What blows my mind, and tell me if you have, this is the same for you. What blows my mind is I didn't have more results from the hustle. I mean, in a way, I guess I'm hustling in a different way, more like I'm spending my evenings working on my podcast and my business and clients, and I'm doing my day job and that job but it's a completely different energy. I mean, before was just like, you know, just going with the focus of like, okay, like I need to like rush through rather than, okay, this week I can rest. And then when I'm inspired, like following inspiration, listening to my body, taking rest, enjoying vacations, like still doing all of those things, really appreciating my life, spending time with my partner, all of that kind of stuff. It's a completely different way of going about life. And then guess what? I, if anything, there's so much more to be had in the not hustling, you know? Learning to receive. I love that. That is that is the other huge aspect of the feminine, right? Feminine energy is all about receiving. Masculine energy is all about giving, and you need both. You need both. I remember, was it Louise Hay? I can't remember who said it, but it was the first time that it really like clued into me. But because I was raised being taught that the most important thing is to give, not to receive, right? It's selfish. Um, there's so many reasons, but if you're giving, so if I'm supposed to be giving, who am I giving to? And if they're not receiving, how good does your giving feel? Of course, there needs to be both. We so easily tell ourselves these kind of like tall tales, like it's so much better to give. How does giving exist without receiving? It doesn't. You need both. And it is so amazing how so many of us can very easily give of our time, of ourselves, of our money, and then have such a hard time receiving it. But imagine who you were giving to and the things that you were giving to, the people that you were giving to were just like, no, I don't want it. What's that? I hate that. Like, imagine that's how people received from you. Right? It's so important to know how to receive. It's so important. Not not just because it's like kind to other people, but it's the same message that we give to the universe, right? We have to The universe doesn't do anything for us that we don't allow. And so if you stop the giving, you're blocking everything that the universe wants to give to you. I'm learning that there are so many opportunities on the other side of fear. Oh, This statement, let me read this again. Listen to this, everyone. Listen to this. I'm learning that there are so many opportunities on the other side of fear. I feel that in my whole body. Absolutely. Right? All the things that we think in our head, it's so easy to be afraid of everything and then not make steps forward, thinking that we're protecting ourselves from so much. But what are we also keeping ourselves from, right? I love that so much. We need that on a bumper sticker. Just stickers, actually. Let's make stickers for like your computer and stuff. But I told you that. I just thought I'd share. Yeah, no, it's my favorite. It's my favorite. I want to be there, Synth. I want to believe I don't have to hustle all the time. Yeah. Yeah. Can I ask? Liked, new subscriber. Can I ask? Of course, you can ask a question. Hi, Manure. Nice to have you here. Of course, anybody can ask a question. Oh, thank you, Kath. I appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead, write your questions in there as you come in. You don't have to wait. Also, let us know, what are you celebrating this week? What are you celebrating this week? That is, we want to hear what you're celebrating. Thanks, Senth. Like, you're just you brought up such a beautiful, beautiful topic. It's really, this ties into what you said, Kathy. I want to believe that I don't have to hustle all the time. And then, Synth, when you also said, I'm discovering that there's so many opportunities on the other side of fear. it all ties into how the familiar, you know, what we think is safe is simply familiar. And this is brought up in so many books. So many different teachers have touched on this, and it's so accurate. We so often think that what we're protecting ourselves from is like bad, but really it's just protecting ourselves from the unknown. And we know the unknown isn't all bad, right? And we also know that the familiar isn't all good. Oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes it's not. But comfort. This comes down to comfort. And one of the episodes was called Brain versus Consciousness. And this is what that was all about. Our brains are wired for protection. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. In many aspects, we have outgrown our brains, right? Our brains are very similar to many ancestors ago, but look at the world that we live in today. You know, most of us that'll be participating here, if you're watching this, are not simply in a survival state. Most of us are not needing to be in fight or flight all the time, but this is still the level that our brains are operating at. So what that's translated into is we have a fight or flight response now to feeling anxious about anything, new conversations, you know, just trying something new, even if it's like a new recipe, going on a date, fight or flight. These are the responses that we're having, because it's just like the unknown, it's so scary, it's so terrible. And so your brain is giving you every single body signal to be like, well, let's protect ourselves. You clearly, like, we need to keep you safe. You're freaking out. And it has nothing to do with safety. It has simply to do with familiarity. So this calls for us using our consciousness. And our consciousness is the part of us that is choice, the part of us that is beyond instinct, the part of us that, is expansive and able to allow me to do something like start a podcast when I was so afraid of letting my voice out there. The part of you that, Synth let you decide to go to Paris and learn all new things. Like, it takes our consciousness, and we have to override that primitive aspect of ourselves that tells us these stories, that tells us these lies, and understand and appreciate it. So it's not about hating our brains, but appreciating that our brains are here to keep us safe, appreciating that we have this vessel, this apparatus that is here to keep us safe, and then using our consciousness, what we know, to be like, okay, I understand that feels scary, but I'm going to be okay, and I can do this. And thank you, Manure, for reminding me. Can everyone please like and subscribe? It really helps for the videos to be pushed out by liking and subscribing. So the more people that see this, the better. So please put those likes up. What else is coming up for you guys? Thank you for these beautiful topics and leaning in. I love what you're celebrating. And you're welcome to drop any human design questions, anything. I'm learning that chapter 4 might be taking me to another part of the world. Chapter 4. I like that. Oh my gosh. Should we call the decades of our lives chapters? Did you just start a trend? I think you just started a trend. Chapter 4. Oh, I love this. Okay, what part of the world? Yes. It's official. I I no longer have lived for almost 4 decades. I have lived for almost 4 chapters. Chapter 3 is coming to a close. I freaking love that. Another part of the world. Where are you thinking? I love this. This also makes me think of the episode. I don't remember what number episode this is, but I talked about when my husband and I went on our honeymoon to Cape Town. Oh my gosh, something opened inside of me, and I realized so much of my learning, our learning, like learning in life, has to be done through life. Like I think I've known that for some time now, or like at least life has been showing me it, but it really opened up my eyes because in manifesting in the spiritual world, often we talk about imagining what it would be like, or kind of like act as if, or let's say that you want to manifest abundance in your life. What would it feel like to have abundance? This is the question, right? So for me, what always came up was freedom. It felt like freedom. Freedom would be what it felt like. And so then the idea is to like really feel that in your body, feel that freedom in your body, you know? And I tried to, and it just wouldn't. Like, I don't know. Like, I felt like, okay, what is it like to be free? I used to swing on the swings with my best friend. That was our favorite thing to do, was swing on the swings. So I'm like, okay, swing on the swings. And I'm like, this feels fun, but I don't feel like free, like I didn't feel like that. And I was like, okay, well, this exercise doesn't work for me. That was my decision. And I also thought maybe there's a little bit of something wrong with me because I see this working for so many people and it's not working for me. Fast forward, I left it all behind. Fast forward, go on my honeymoon to Cape Town. And holy shit, did I feel freedom. We were in these amazing Airbnbs, like doing awesome activities, standing at the top of a mountain, like the view. So the view from the Airbnb, the first Airbnb that we were sitting at, first of all, the view was always, so it's 3 stories, the main floor, the bedroom floor, the pool, the rooftop pool, everywhere you turn, mountain, 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 the view. Okay, so I knew what freedom felt like now. And the thing is like I needed to like experience life to understand what that felt like, It's so easy for us to sit in our home, sit in your little version of your life, keep yourself safe, keep yourself in something familiar, and then we keep waiting for this thing to show up that will expand us. The thing will show up and it will expand us. No, you go through life and what you encounter will expand you. Sometimes it's through contrast. Sometimes it's through like hitting something in the face, falling flat on your face. But still, the lesson will expand you. You know what I mean? So I finally knew fully in my body, in my heart, in my soul, what the hell freedom felt like. And I have been able to open myself up to abundance so much more. Like I said in the last session, I'm really diving into financial abundance and money consciousness. And like this opening wouldn't have happened without that. You guys are bringing so much. Spain! Okay, so, NYC too. Okay, I feel biased. All right, I'm not going to be biased. You have been talking about Spain for a long time. I just have to say, I'm excited for you no matter what. No matter what, wherever you choose, it's going to be freaking amazing. Hi, Michael. That is so freaking cool. I'm so excited for you. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I loved every minute here, beautiful. Thanks for the beautiful live dive. Looking forward to participating in the next one. Gotta pick up my goddaughter in the next few minutes. Thank you, Kath. Can't wait to see you. That is awesome, Sim. I am all for it because here's the thing, right? Let's say that you go chapter 4. Let's say chapter 4 takes you to a new location. Let's say you get to that location and you absolutely freaking hate it. So what? So what? Right? This is the other side of fear. So what? And then you move somewhere else. And then you move somewhere else. and then you come and move wherever the heck I live in the world. You know what I'm saying? I think that is you cannot get this wrong. This reminds me of what Abraham Hicks always says. I'm a huge fan of Abraham Hicks. And they say that you can't get it wrong because you never get it done. And that has always stuck with me. But I didn't actually fully understand it until pretty recently. And what it means that you can't get it wrong because you never get it done is that Abraham Hicks teaches law of attraction. They are like the original when it comes to law of attraction. And what they're saying is that this is an internal process. This is an internal process. In law of attraction doesn't even believe that your soul continues after you die. They even call it croaking to purposefully be disrespectful because death is just onto a whole nother type of chapter. But the idea is that you cannot get it wrong. Even in this life, you can't get it wrong because you get up and you try something new. You just do it again. You do it again. You do it again. There is no too late. Like living life is a mindful experience. Your life is only happening in the now. It is only happening in the now, but we spend so much time being either in the past or in the future that we usually miss so much of our life. But our life happens in the moment, in the now. And so you really can't get it wrong because you just do it again. You do something different. You do something new, you try again. We love that. So let me know what else is coming up for you. Any questions? What's been your favorite so far? For anyone new that popped in, let us know what you're celebrating. I'm really sorry. For some reason, my chat is not working. So I typed it in there, but nobody can see it. But what I want you to do when you come in is to say hello, of course. And also let us know what you're celebrating. Let us know what you're celebrating this week. So this also, speaking of, you can't get it. What did I say? No, my brain just farted. You can't get it wrong because you never get it done. It makes me come back to this whole idea of like everything that led up to me diving into personal development and diving into inner work. And I just made myself so wrong all the time. I spent so much of my life making myself wrong. Like when I made a mistake, I was wrong. I was a failure. Like that was the rhetoric constantly, was that I was a failure. And the hilarious thing is that all along I was learning. I was learning life. I was experiencing life and I was learning life, but I had internalized these messages that if you don't get something right the first time, if you're not perfect, though nobody is able to come up with what that is yet, we cannot seem to agree on what that is yet. This was the message that I was telling myself. And while I'm telling myself this over and over and over and over again, all it was doing was making me more depressed, making me more miserable, making me less and less engaged in what was actually meaningful to me. And the whole time that I was simply learning. And if I take that learning, take everything that I've experienced, every mistake that I've made, what it leads to is stepping into the bravest that I've ever been, which we just talked about, stepping into creating something absolutely new. Teaching, like how I would have nothing to teach. And as a projector, human design projector, I was put here on the planet to guide. And the way that I was meant to guide was through my life experience. And so life was experiencing, And I would love, if we could push forward the message more of not being afraid to live life, not being afraid of making mistakes, not being afraid of trying things new and not needing to always be perfect and get it right, even though we do live in a society right now, especially with social media and stuff, where People are constantly presenting themselves, in this kind of like falsely perfect way, but we know that's not real. We know that's not real. And still we make ourselves feel terrible when we watch these beautiful images and then we tell ourselves that, like I don't look like that or my life doesn't look like that. Yeah, theirs doesn't either. Don't worry about it. And the ones that their life does look like that, they're usually telling you, hey, your life can look like this too. Like, I promise. And this is how you do it. And it's not like impossible. It's just like a matter of changing your mindset and stuff like that. So I want, like, part of my mission is to push forward the truth that our life is what we make it. It is simply a matter of the external environment is a reflection of what we have going on internally. And we can't sit there and beat ourselves up continuously and tell ourselves that we're failures and all we are is one giant mistake and expect to create and be amazing things in this world. Every single person that you look up to that you find amazing, this is where that came from. It came from them trying things even though they weren't sure that they were going to be able to do a great job at it, and then learning along the way. Creativity is another topic that I discuss in Love and Meaning podcast. And creativity is okay. I am currently diving into the gene keys. I don't know if anybody's heard of gene keys. Gene keys actually overlaps a bit with human design, but it's more like if human design is the masculine, gene keys is the feminine. It's more of something that you're meant to interpret and let the concept kind of wash over you and grow into. But through diving into my gene keys, I learned, and I love that I made that podcast episode before I learned this, because it just was just like, it's further proof that through living our life, through living life, right? Experiencing life, reflecting on our lives, you actually learn everything that you need to know. So what I recognized for myself by starting the podcast was, in this creative mode, when I'm doing something creative, my whole rest of my life kind of just like blossoms. Everything is amplified. It's literally in the creative act. Oh my gosh, the creative act. Guys, I'm also reading. All right, I feel like my ADHD is getting activated. I'm getting excited. Breathe. Okay. Okay. So I'm currently reading The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. It's a freaking awesome book. Rick Rubin is one of the creators of Def Jam. Is that it? Or super influential? And he wrote a book, and it is a spiritual book. It is about how he makes human and artist synonymous and talks about how it is in all of us to be creative and what that process does and how to step into that process. And it is true. So how wild is it? So I do this episode that's all about how I started the podcast. I'm doing this creative thing. I have never felt more alive. I have never felt more excited. One of the things that I actually mentioned in the podcast was I kept like the energy is like flowing out of me, that people were randomly like hugging me in life. Like my husband and I went to dinner, and this woman like the server ran out of the restaurant after me to hug me. Like, and it happened also when we were in Cape Town. But like, I have just stepped into being so much more magnetic. I think I was already magnetic, like when I'm in a vibration of appreciation and love, but creativity added to that. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I hadn't even published the episode yet, like the podcast yet. It hadn't even been published when I was creating those episodes, and I'm talking about, I cannot believe how I feel. I feel amazing. I feel things coming to me. I feel more magnetic. I'm attracting so much more abundance. I've attracted so much more to me since starting it. And that was before I published it. So it had nothing to do with people liking it or telling me that it was great. It was simply in the act of creativity. And then I dive into my gene keys, and it's literally in my gene keys, in my life's work. So my life's work sphere is basically what I was put on this planet for. In the middle, in the middle of that sphere, it's inspiration. So my gift to the world is like activated through inspiration. Like it's super important for me to be inspired, and through that process of inspiration, magic comes. So I just think it's so interesting talking about creativity, and then I discover that it's literally in my gene keys. Like living life as your greatest teacher, like it is just, it feels so good to learn it officially that is who I am. It just basically strengthened it for me. It really solidified it for me, rather than it being just a passing thing that I'm like, oh yeah, when I'm creative, it feels good. It was kind of like, no, this is going to be the center of my life. And honestly, by how good it feels, like I don't think I can ever go back now. There's like literally no going back. But it just kind of solidified it. And so I find human design, gene keys, learning these frameworks, it really it helps you to prioritize what is actually so important for you. And I find that it's not even so much, sometimes it's kind of like you learn something new, but really it's like a coming home. It's like you'll learn it. So in a reading, I'll tell a client, this is part of their chart, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I know. Like, oh, yes. I've known that since I was a kid. That resonates so much. It's so true. It's kind of like a remembering of yourself, like remembering yourself. That's kind of what it feels like. Let me know. I hope that the chat didn't freeze again. Oh, I'm going to come out of this and make sure, because my chat is acting like a little bit of a jerk. Okay, no, I don't think that I've missed anything. If I have, I'm so sorry, guys. I will try to figure that out, but let me know what's resonating with you. You can let me know your weekend plans even. I will tell you mine. I will be heading to the Bahamas on Monday for my friend's wedding, and I'm so excited. I've never been to the Bahamas, so this will be it'll be really fun to visit somewhere new and warm. I'm expecting a tan, so that will be very, very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to celebrating her. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. As we start to wrap up, I'm going to tell you a little bit more housekeeping. So as a reminder, please like and subscribe. I see 2 likes. Please like as you come in, subscribe. This really helps to push it out to more and more and more people. The more people that hear a message of love, the better. We are expanding the consciousness of the entire planet. So please help me on my life and soul's mission to do that. And also, I know that if you're here, that probably is part of what is important to you too. So like, subscribe. And how this works, every Friday we meet here 6 p.m. EST for a Friday night live dive, and we talk about any of the topics that have been covered in Love and Meaning, the podcast, and anything else that comes up for you actually as you're listening. Please feel free to share in the comments. You can write your questions and your comments underneath the podcast in the Q&A sections. You can even leave a voice note. The podcast drops every Monday at 8 a.m. EST on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and here on my Goddess of Practicality YouTube page. You can also follow me on Goddess of Practicality on Instagram and check out my human design information. And you can also book a reading if you're interested in it. I have 2 different types of readings. I have a full 90-minute human design reading where we cover the main aspects of your chart in depth. So you really, really walk away with a good understanding of your chart and a good understanding of what you can look into later for further information. I also have a mini aura reading, which teaches you your human design aura. So each type has an aura, and that aura really leans towards determining what your strategy is in life and really how you operate best in the world. So the minute aura reading helps you to walk away with being able to use your design in your everyday life right away with just enough information to get you started. So it's very practical, and I'm all about practicality, hence goddess of practicality. So I would love to do that with you if you're interested. It was so fun to have you guys here. Thank you so much for coming. Synth, I will see you soon. For all the new people that came in, thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. If you have questions, I hope that I didn't miss it. I know that someone here had said that they have a question and you asked if you can ask. You don't have to ask. Just feel free to write your questions right into the comments. But you are also welcome to add your questions in later, and I will cover it in the next week. That's fine. If I did miss it, I'm sorry. I'm really going to try to get this chat situation right. I'm still learning, so be patient with me. We did talk about life is all about making mistakes. And I make a lot of them, so have patience with me as I learn. But I'm having so much fun, and I'm absolutely loving this opportunity to get to know you, to interact, and to bring the topics to life. It's really the whole point. The whole point of me doing this and me creating this podcast is not just to share my knowledge and share my learnings, but also to bring it to life, to have this be something that's applicable, that people can use in their everyday life, that we can all step into feeling more love and having a strong sense of meaning and purpose, and making our lives really a representation of what matters to us, and that it feels good. I am a proponent of happiness. So on that note, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I love you all. Thank you for coming. New episode of the podcast drops 8 a.m. on Monday, and hopefully I'll see you next Friday. I'll see you soon. Bye, Sid. Bye.